You are watching Chatting Up the Irish. My name is Mayor Hernan McEvely, and I am speaking tonight to a man from Kilconnell, County Galway. His name is Pat Noone. He owns Green Hills Farm, a very, very special farm indeed. He has a fairy field, he has standing stones, he has a cairn on the farm, he has a porthole to the other world, and there have been amazing artifacts found on his land. So we're going to be chatting to him for about 30 minutes, so hang tight and enjoy the show. Hello everybody, you're very welcome to Chatting Up the Irish. I am delighted to be joined by a very special man today. His name is Pat Noone and he's from Kilconnell in County Galway. And Pat owns a very, very, very special, very magical farm, and he's going to tell us all about it. There is so much mystic and magical things that go on this farm. I love my fairies. I love the ancient sites of Ireland, and Pat and his farm has it all. Pat, you're very welcome to Chatting Up the Irish. How are you doing?
Not too bad at all, not too bad at all, me, and I hope you're keeping well yourself.
I am, thank God I am.
Yeah, it's funny times, it's funny times in the world now. It's a big change in the world compared to 5 years ago.
Oh my God, it is absolutely, Pat. But your land and your farm is special, and it'll never change, and it'll never get old, or it'll never. What could we say? It'll never get modern. Maybe that's the way to put it, Pat.
Well, it'll never get modern, and I suppose with the way things has gone now, people can look at what I have and say, this is real Ireland. It's not the plastic Ireland that people was used to and the owl rubbish that they were going on about. And
Exactly,
I
Pat.
think that I think the love of the land is going to come back again, and the love of people having land and being with land and being with animals as well.
Yeah, it is. It's very important. It's a pity to lose that kind of natural grow we had for the land, Pat. The land is very important in Ireland. I mean, it's and your land especially. I mean, you've got everything. You've got a fairy field. You've got a fairy fort in your land. Now that's very, very, very important. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I will. I'll tell you what. I have a few sites on my farm, which makes it fierce unique.
Yeah,
I have a fairy field which has a cairn on it, which is 3,500 years old, Bronze Age burial of an Irish chieftain.
is that the
I have
chieftain's mound? Is that the chieftain's
the
mound?
chieftain's mound, May. Yes, the chieftain's mound, and it's probably modern, but it sounds old. But it's modern to what I have else there. I
Yeah,
have a fairy fort in which is 1,000 years or maybe a couple of thousand years old.
yeah.
Then I have the fairy. Then I have the entrance to the fairy world, the porthole to the fairy world where the
That's
white
where the
horns
black
live.
and the white hawthorns cross.
Yes, and there's great magic there, great healing in that spot as well, because a lot of people goes in there, and I would never tell them what to experience. Everyone has some little experience. Now there is the odd person that won't have any experience, and that makes it even brilliant
Yeah.
because then you know that you're doing something right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it just we'll backtrack there for a little bit. Just to backtrack there, May. In 1840, the English put the railway through the fairy field, which they
Oh,
had, which they had the right to do because they owned the land of Ireland, and that was the way they done things.
yeah,
You know
but
what I
that's
mean?
deadly dangerous to do that, Pat.
Yeah, but it was deadly dangerous. But it, I suppose you see, it was the height of the famine, and when they were digging out the railway, they found seven halberds, which is a ceremonial sword
Yeah,
used today by they were used as for ceremonials and mostly rituals.
yeah.
And those swords is in a London museum. They were the biggest swords found in Ireland. They were the longest swords. And there was a thesis done on them in 1913, and they called this place Hollywood instead of Hillswood. Hillswood
Okay.
was its natural place, it's townland. But there is a few different things there. I have a few standing stones in it. I have a fertility stone which people comes to even last week I had a person there for it.
And what's the
And
Banshee Rock, Pat?
the Banshee Rock is where the Banshee sat. And I seen her several times sitting on it. And even there was an American lady took a video of it there last year, Nora Frank, and she sent on a thing to me there the other day. She was just looking through her phone, looking at bygone days of Ireland, and she could see the Banshee in the background. At the time, we didn't pass any, we couldn't really see it with the naked eye, but the camera seen it.
The camera
So
got it.
the camera. But looking at ferries in my field is like looking at traffic in Dublin. It's nothing unusual to me. There's more people seeing ferries there than I did.
Yeah,
We done a fire walk there a few years ago, and that night we were standing around and we seen 9 or 10 ferries
really.
walk down and down into the porthole of the the ferry world. So there's a few different things there, Maya, are made that's very unique. And beside the what do I call it, the chieftain's mound, there is another mound which is even older, and it's aligned with the sun. And there's a few very fine stones on that as well. Some of them is a spear stone, and there is a tunnel in that as well, and there is a tunnel in the ferry fort.
Oh, really? Do you have
Yes,
to ask permission? Do you have to ask permission, Pat, before you go into the ferry fort?
well, I'm up there minding livestock every day, so I'm a kind of
They
one
know
on
you.
rim, as the fella says. Do you know what I mean? I don't ramble in and out there day and night because I'm farming. That's my
Yeah,
occupation
so
as a
so you're
farmer,
kind of
and
accepted. They don't mind
I'm
you going in there.
accepted there. I'm
Yeah,
accepted there,
yeah,
and it's look at. I suppose I don't see much difference in it than any other day or any other field, but when you go in there, you will know it, and especially strangers that comes here, as I do little tours there for the summer of people coming,
yeah.
they'll all know that there's something special in it.
Well, now I'd have to ask permission now before I'd go in there.
Yeah, well, I generally ask permission for people that
Okay,
comes, can they come in.
okay, yeah,
Now, I've seen people that came and couldn't go in as well. I've seen people that was just the same as a glass door walked again and I couldn't get
couldn't
in
get
or
in.
wouldn't
Yeah,
go in. You know what I mean? And that's just the way it is.
yeah. And they love music, Pat.
Yeah, well, I suppose fairies was the original spirits of Ireland.
Yeah,
So the music to the fairies and the music to the Irish as well, I suppose. We have it both in common.
yeah,
The fairies have the music and we have the music.
yeah,
And the fairies can play music like nothing else out of this world because I suppose they are out of this world. But
yeah. Or the worldly, aren't they? Yeah,
yeah, and you can hear it sometimes,
yeah,
the music in the field. But the 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 real thing about the fairies is I suppose the music. They like the hunting, the horse hunting, the
do they?
hunting with the hounds. They love that. Yeah, the fairies love the hunting with the hounds, the horses. Uh, Everyone thought the English that brought that to Ireland, but we were hunting before the English ever came to Ireland.
Yeah, yeah,
And I suppose we had an alliance with the fairies, the humans, and then the humans tricked them and moved on their own way. And that's why we're suffering these days, I
yeah,
suppose, great plagues. And even in the 14th centuries, there was great plagues too, when the wrath of the churches was down on the fairies and the
yeah,
fairy people and the people that did honor the fairies.
yeah. Well, I remember here, there's a great fiddle player that's associated with my area at home in Gurchin. His name is Michael Coleman. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I heard of him. I
Well,
heard of him.
Michael Coleman was. It's said that Michael Coleman one night he was coming home from a Céile. He was playing at a Céile, and he lived in a place called Knockgrania, just outside Gurchin. And they reckon that he got caught. He went into a field and there was a fairy fort in it. And I don't know whether it was a bet or whether he just went in, but he got lost in there. And anyhow, he played for the fairies, and the fairies were highly impressed with his music, but they made him 10 times better than he was. They gave him an extra
Yes,
gift.
they
And
give an extra push. Yes,
he, as you know, he's world renowned. The man was way ahead of his time with when it came to technique and fiddle playing. And I often heard, I bring people up to a place called Carrowkeel. It's an
I put
underground
in it. I
passage
was
to
in.
In Sligo.
Yes, I
Now,
was in it.
Pat, I will not bring them up unless I go up first and I ask permission.
Yes,
And I promise the spirits up there and the fairies up there that I will not let anyone do any damage to anything. They are not allowed to take even a stone.
no, 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 no.
And
You're not
I
supposed
know,
to take anything out of
Pat,
anybody.
I know that if we're not welcome, I have no problem turning around and telling the group, sorry guys, we can't go up there. Now it has never happened to me. They've
Yes, but
always,
it will happen someday. Don't ever be surprised.
yeah,
It's
it
going to
probably
happen. It's
someday
going
it
to
might
happen.
happen.
Yes,
It's not just the right time or whatever. But so far, I have been given the go ahead, and people have found the place to be most mystical and magical. And there's an energy up there that you can't describe. And I bet you it's probably the same energy in your fairy field and around your trees.
it's brilliant energy. It's a great energy. It's a cleansing energy.
It is, yeah,
It will cleanse you, the energy that's in it. It will revive you.
yeah,
It is a lighter energy. It is a lighter air. It's a different air to what you can believe. It's very light. But it's, I suppose, you're asking the wrong man is asking me about it, because I'm used to it. You have to ask nearly somebody that came there.
yeah,
I'm used to it, but there is that great sense of energy in it, and magic as well. The magic is there. The great magic of this field
yeah.
is in it. It's the great magic.
And Pat, talk to me about the 9 irons.
The 9 irons, May, is an iron that was used for healing. You have 9 different implements of the Farum on it. And it was banned, I suppose, in the 17th century by the churches in 18th century, because people would go into a trance from it. And when you put this over people's heads, the cure, it's a very great cure for children that have fallen sickness and different things. Now, I do use it here on people. I have great success with it. And I don't want to blow me on trumpet. I
No,
could
but
if I wanted to, but I'm not going to.
yeah,
And the 9 iron was a very significant tool against warding off evil spirits
okay, yeah,
as well. And I suppose in the latter years, to please the churches, they added a cross to it.
okay.
But very few people uses the 9 iron now, or knows how to use it. I'm lucky enough that I have the prayer for it from the fairies, or from whatever you like to call it. We won't say from anyone, I suppose, but it was passed down from my peoples.
And
And I
can you
used the
pass
power.
and can you pass it down, Pat?
Oh, yes, of course I can. Yeah,
And
I
do
will
you
have.
have to pass it down to one of your own family, or can you pass it
Not.
down to anyone?
Oh, no, no, you don't. If your family doesn't deserve it, you give it to a person that does.
Okay, yeah,
There is an awful thing about it. It can skip generations. It can go outside the family, but generally it will come back in again. A lot of people don't want it then. What's even more ironic about this, people don't want the healing powers of any of these things, because
God.
look, it's not that simple to carry around with you either
No,
to
it's
heal it.
not.
You're almost at someone's beck and call.
Yeah, it's the truth. Well, I know that talking about healing, Pat, for anyone here in America, um, there are people like Pat. I mean, I remember I had a slip disc years and years and years ago, Pat, and there's what's called bone setters at home in
That's
Ireland, and
right.
it's a gift. And I had to go down to this man. His name was Mr. Heffernan. He was down in Tipperary. He was a great bone setter, Pat. And that man, with a flick of a hand, put my back right.
You did, yeah.
He did. And then there was a woman in Sligo. I'm a great believer in these people who can
Of
heal.
course.
I'm a great believer in herbs and in stuff from the land. And, God, every single disease that's out there, God put a cure in the land, or he has a cure there for it. That's
Yes,
my belief. And this woman in Sligo, Mrs. Deneen was her name, she had the cure of asthma. And I brought my two kids, to get that cure from her. My own father, God rest his soul, he had the cure of a burn. He'd lick a burn and you wouldn't have a scar from it.
I have that as well. If I made the leak from the burn, I have that.
Have you?
I have, and I have a cure for the bleeding as well.
Oh, have you? Have
Yeah,
you, Pat?
yeah.
So talk to me about some of your healing. What you do?
What what I did? Look at my house is always open for people come and healing. They come here for healings. I had been flown out to America, out to the Puritans to heal land.
Yeah,
I do a lot of land healings where there's troubles in land, and where troubles is in land, people is house healings where people can't sleep in their houses. I
yeah,
go and I heal the house. I have a good few places to go to in Ireland today. I always have a list of people to go to heal land, especially
yeah,
farmers wants me to heal their land. People wants to heal their houses. It's actually got bigger in the last few years. Now there is a lot of guys at this as well. As not just me. There's tons of people at it. But I had the privilege of being flown out to America, out to the Puritans, to do land healings with their property in outside Boston, you
yeah,
know. And I suppose being a great Republican in this part of the country and known as a Republican here, I had a visit from one of the royal families in England. One of their peoples came here to me for healings. You know what I mean?
yes,
So it crossed all religious, sectarian, colour, breed, nationalities. Everyone that wants healing is welcome in the house here.
yeah.
And I got a letter from the palace thanking me
There you go.
for it as well. So, like, it has, we have, I suppose, a lot of people says, why am I driving a new BMW instead of a 22-year-old Jeep? I'm happy doing what I'm happy doing,
Doing.
you
And of
know?
course, you see, the thing about it is people don't realize people can give you donations, but you can't charge them because you could lose your gifts.
You could lose your gifts, but at the same time, you're always on beck and call. You see, you're
Yeah,
always on beck and
yeah,
call. You know what I mean? You're always on
yeah,
beck and call for people coming. Like there's always someone looking for me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I am farming here as well, and I have a wife, I suppose, and four small kids. So the healing thing is, and then during the summer times there, I do have tours of people coming.
Well, I
That,
intend to bring tours to you, Pat.
well, I'll tell you now, me, I had no Americans last year
No, and you
because
won't
of
have
this.
them this year either.
Well, I have a few people now from I have a few tours coming in October. Whether they can come or not, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
that's it. I had to. I was just telling somebody the other day. I had to reschedule all the. I was supposed to go to you last year. I was
Yes,
supposed to,
right. You know, I know.
and of course I had to reschedule everything, Pat. And I'm finding myself having to reschedule all the May, June, and July tours. So we're
Yes,
hoping that maybe in September that there'll be a couple of
yes. A break in the windows. The fella says, no. Look at. No one knows from week to week the way this thing is going to pan
no,
out.
no,
Nobody has a clue. No, there's no one has a window on this.
yeah,
This thing is not simple, and it's not going to go away as quick as people think either.
no, no,
But at
yeah.
the same time, we will. I know you'll come on a tour someday. You know.
Oh, I have to go down.
And,
Even if I don't have a tour, I have to go down and experience your wife's homemade brown bread.
well, at least you'll be welcome alone or with a tour, so it doesn't make any difference which way you come. But
Well, for
I
for
suppose
anyone.
Ireland is unique in Western Europe. We're the last outpost before we go to America. And I suppose I'm living here in Galway, and it was the last stop before Columbus set sail for the New World was
Yeah,
Galway. So we're very lucky to have it here. I'm about, I suppose, 25 miles from Galway City,
and you're near enough
where
to
I like. This
Ballinasloe as
is
well, aren't you? You're near enough to Ballinasloe.
I'm I'm only 10 miles from Ballinasloe.
So would you go into the horse fair there? when the horse
I
fair is
tell
on.
you, I would go into the horse fair as I have a few horses myself as well. I have a few drafts and a few Connemara's.
Have you?
I would go
You've
into
donkeys as well, Pat, have you?
I have donkeys as well. I have a few donkeys as well. Indeed, I have. I have a few
Brilliant.
donkeys as well, just to keep the whole lot on board, you know.
And do
Yeah,
you?
I'm lucky enough. I'm lucky enough that the Ballinasloe Horse Fair is near me here.
Yeah.
And
And
it's the oldest in Europe, you
it
know.
is. It is. I've been there. And do you shear sheep? Do you cut the wool, shear
I
sheep?
I shear the sheep myself. I'm the last man shearing around this part of the country.
Really?
I shear the sheep myself, and I use a sheep crook to catch them by the foot. And I do a little dog demonstration for people that comes on tours.
Oh,
I, I,
brilliant.
I breed collie dogs here. I breed collie dogs here in a small, very small scale now. It's not huge. I have a few dogs here that I do keep here, and I work them on. They're working dogs.
Brilliant.
It's like the fairies. I don't pass any remarks on them. They do their work, and that's it. There's no hullabaloo or going on, you know.
You
When
teach them.
people
You have
come,
to. Do you have to
oh
teach
yeah,
them,
oh
Pat?
yeah, I teach them. Oh, I teach them. I train them. But a lot of people, it all accident. Look, it all happened accidentally. One day a tour came in and the dog was out, and some of the people said, "Can we bring the dog?" I said, "No problem." And we brought the dog, and the next thing I sent them out to get their sheep. I said, "Did you ever see?" Oh, they said, "This is fantastic." So I caught the sheep for them and gathered them up and done a few things with the dog, just the normal things. And then the next thing, people started looking for little
Oh,
tours and
yeah.
farm.
Oh, it's a big thing, Pat. People love to see the dogs. You see, it's something that you wouldn't see too much over here. You won't see, and that is a gift in itself to be able to train dogs to do that.
It is a
You
gift
know.
in itself. But it's a lovely thing to be able to do. And like I use them as working dogs. You know,
Yeah.
they're not trained for any shows or anything. It isn't.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I've seen dogs as far away as Germany
Yeah.
and different places, but it's only just accidentally that does happen. But yeah, I do. This is a full working farm, the mixed traditional farm in Ireland. You know.
And you also do B&B, Pat, don't you?
We do B&B as well. We do B&B. We do a nice B&B here. We have 2 rooms that we have upstairs that people just come and stay. We're quite busy during the summer. It's unique that people want. Now it's a different B&B to what you're going to get on your normal B&B tour. What you'll get here is all organic food, our own bacon, our own lamb, and you could get a chipped cup. So you know what I mean? That's
Perfect.
what that's what
Perfect.
and you'll get the Wellingtons on the floor,
Yeah,
and you'll get the turf fires and
that's
all
it.
that. But you're not going to be getting 5-star silver or anything. If you want that, you'll be going to Tomás School and
Well, yeah.
Ballinasloe.
Well, for anyone from America or anywhere around the world that's listening to this, Pat Noone is a unique person. So if you ever are in Galway and you want to get a real Irish experience, look up Green Hill Farms in Kilconnell in County
Kilconnell, the
Galway.
Church of Connell.
The church, and I'm going to spell it for people so that they know it, because it would be a great experience for anyone who wants to get the real Ireland. And he'll bring you out and he'll show you the fairy field. We're not finished talking about that yet, Pat, but Kilconnell is spelled Kilconnell, and it's in County Galway, and the name of the farm is Green Hills Farm. Have you a website, Pat?
Well, I tell you what, I have a bit of everything. I have Green Hills Farm Stay, which is on my Facebook, and I have
Okay.
Green Hills Farm. Then I'll get me on it. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So
perfect.
I have a bit of both. We're not professionals. We're just ordinary farmers. We're not any of these real professional people.
We
You
don't
know?
need professional people, Pat. We need real
No.
people.
Well, this is the way it is. We're just, I suppose, we're ordinary country people. That's what we
I'm
are.
I'm exactly what I am, Pat.
And I won't change my voice to suit anybody. I
Exactly.
won't. You know,
I'm the
we are
dead
what
same.
we are.
I
And
am the dead same.
You
So
know,
tell me, before we go, I want to hear more about the fairy field. So you've got the black thorn and the white thorn, and it's kind of like a portal into the
that's the
fairy world.
portal to the fairy world.
So you go in there, if people want to visit, you go in there, and what you well you can only talk about your own experiences, I suppose. But what did people tell you that they saw and they experienced?
They have got the great inner peace first.
Yeah,
Great inner peace. Some people finds very emotional, comes out very emotional out of it. Other people finds this great thing out of their chest, this great relief from their chest.
yeah,
And I won't tell you anymore now. Everyone has to experience their own thing. And then
yeah,
I have the curtain, and
yeah,
then I have a hill beside that, which is I suppose older again. It's like Newgrange. Then I have the Banshee Stone, and I have the Fairy Fort, and I have an old residence of the monastery in Kilcullen. It's an old a little house that the monks used. So I have that as well. But before we go up onto the fairy field where the railway split the field in two, I have a few standing stones which has a an eagle's head on one of them.
really.
You know, yeah, an eagle's head. And look at, I suppose eagles are synonymous with magic. You know, and the American dollar has the eagle, the Nazis had the eagle, and the Queen of England is surrounded by eagle statues. So we had them before any of those guys. We had our own stone eagles. And I have a fertility stone there as well, which is still in use.
Yeah. And you also have a wishing tree.
I have a wishing tree. I used to let people tie rags onto it, but now I have them only tying rushes.
Okay, because
I've
there's a
gone back
wishing
to the
tree.
old.
There's a holy well in Sligo, just outside Tubbernault in Sligo, and I bring people to it as well. And again, it's kind of the ancient thing of how St. Patrick brought Christianity to Ireland, but he also incorporated some of the pagan beliefs, and the wishing tree is kind of like that. It's you're bringing your wish or your
Thank you, or whatever you want
or
to
whatever
call
you
it.
want, or you if you want a curse to be taken from you, put it
That's
on the
right.
wishing tree. And there's a wishing tree there, and there's also a wishing tree near Creva Keel court mound down in outside Cliffonade. And it just shows you the importance of. And again, I don't know, but I don't think that it's you can get a wishing tree anywhere else in the world.
No, but most cultures is nearly the same. I had a girl from, I suppose, well, let's say Australia, and she was out the outback of it, and she came here and stayed in our B and B, and she was here for healing. But I said I'd do a little tree healing on her. So I brought her into the fairy field, and I was doing a tree healing on her. And she says, "You're the second person to do that." She says, "An Aborigine chief done that to me in Australia." So we do our healings kind of cross culture. You'll be surprised at the similarities when I get talking to people from other cultures where the similarities do exist.
I'd say probably the Indians, the native Indians here would have a lot of the same, they're very rooted to the ground and nature. And it's probably the same thing, Pat.
Is you see the covenant of the world, I suppose, is the black soil we stand on. It gives us life. Its life is where we came from, and its life is where we're going to go back to.
Back to, yeah.
That's the soil.
Dust,
That's
dust thou art,
that
and
black
into
soil.
dust thou shalt return.
Yes, and it is. I suppose. Look at, we had no gold in Ireland or silver worth fighting for. All we had was land, and the
Yeah,
English didn't come here for us as humans. They had
yeah,
enough of their own. They came for our land
yeah,
because we can grow stuff on land and keeps us alive.
yeah.
And if we poison land, we're slowly poisoning
Or
ourselves.
you have to look after the land, Pat. The
I
land is
have to
very,
look
very
after the
important.
land.
Yeah.
The land it needs to be looked after.
Well,
There was
you
an
see
old
where I
saying.
you see where I'm sitting in front of now. This is a picture of the ferry bridge in Lough Key in County Roscommon.
Right, it's a very nice. It's a very nice bridge. It's a very nice
Oh, it's a
bridge.
beautiful place. It's a very, again, like that, depending on where you go there, it's very magical as well.
It's a magical area. Ireland is full of magic. Ireland is full of magic. And I suppose with this pandemic, you're going to see rural Ireland fully built up again.
Oh,
To be
please God,
built
not.
up. Yeah, it's actually happening slowly. But well, the prophecies said it that the peoples would team out the cities and go back into rural Ireland, you know.
Okay, yeah.
That was the prophecies, and
Well,
it's
if we go
happening.
back into rural Ireland and they look after the land, that's all
Oh
right.
yeah, that's the will. There's a lot of people will. There's a lot of people won't, but you'd be surprised all the people that's most people has recognized now that the land needs looking after.
Yeah.
Most common sense people,
Yeah.
you know, because they see that that is the covenant.
Yeah, and look after it, not with synthetic stuff, not with this artificial fertilizer, but with cow dung and with seaweed and stuff like that. It would be way better than, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. It's 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 a big, huge question, and it. I suppose it's going to answer itself now
yeah,
because now people realize it. Like they're listening to themselves now, not to you or me. It's
yeah,
themselves they're listening
yeah,
to.
yeah,
And
Pat.
when people has got out of their motor cars now and they have started to look, let down the windows of the cars, pull up. They have started to look and see and smell and listen.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. You know, you don't need to read about it anymore. All you need to do is look.
Just go
You don't
out
have to read
in
a book.
nature. Nature
Just
is the best
go
thing.
out.
Yeah,
Go out, look, stand and look, and you have it all in about 5 minutes.
it is.
You
It's
don't need to
true.
read. You don't need to read a 300-page book on it.
Yeah,
You just
you
listen.
don't, absolutely. And Ireland is one of the most beautiful places. I mean,
Well, it's the
rich
jewel
in
in the
everything.
crown.
Yeah,
It's rich and everything. It's the jewel of Europe. It revived Europe in the last great plagues that came in the 13th centuries, and that Ireland was spared because we were a kind of isolated. And we went out and we taught our crafts and our music and our poetry to all Europe, all the world,
yeah,
because the new world was starting to be founded at this stage, and sure enough, the Irish was ready for it.
yeah,
We are a great country. We're a great people. The Irish people is a great people. There's no people in the world has endured more hardship than the Irish.
yeah,
And we're a forgiven people as well. We don't hold grudges more than you think. We're a forgiven people, and I suppose we can let go of a lot of things in our music and our poetry. We have
exactly.
an outlet in it. We have
Yeah,
an outlet, and that's going to come back big again. You're going to see a lot of poets revive out of this pandemic now, because people will be able to concentrate on their minds,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, exactly. And nature. Well,
and nature.
would you believe, Pat, we have run out of time?
That's okay.
I'm delighted. I was delighted. I was dying. I was really looking forward to talking to you. I could talk to you forever, but unfortunately, we have only 30 minutes. But for anyone who's interested and anyone who's gone over to Ireland at any stage, this is the man you need to go to. Pat Noone. He's in Kilconnell in County Galway in Green Hills Farm. You'll get some homemade food, some home baked brown bread. I'm looking, oh God, Pat, you don't know how I'm looking forward to going and staying with you and having some real good cabbage and bacon and a few spuds that was grown in your garden.
Well, at the help of God, you'll be here before long.
Please God, please God.
You will, of course. You will, of
Pat,
course. Times will change. Thank you very much,
you're
May.
very, very welcome. And for anyone listening, this program, Chatting Up the Irish, was sponsored by Secret Ireland Tours. If you want to catch us, you'll find this program at some stage on Facebook. I'll be announcing it a day or two before we put it up. It'll be on our Secret Ireland Tours Facebook, we YouTube channel, and all our other social media. If you want to get Pat or contact him, you can go to his Facebook page. It's Pat Noone. And if you want to, I would love if you'd make comments or ask questions. And please like and share this video. And if Pat can't answer the question, or if I can't answer the question, we'll pass it over to each other. But we'll get your questions answered. And I hope, Pat, that people that watch this video that they'll end up visiting you in Galway?
Well, they're all welcome. All sorts of people is welcome here. Everyone, 1,000 welcomes.
Go Míle maith, Pat. I'll be talking to you again.